Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tiff Talks Tech. Today, I am excited because I am joined by Jen Spencer, who is the Chief Growth Officer at Booth. And today, we're going to be talking about the rise of agentic teams and how AI and humans can scale together. I think this is a really exciting topic for our industry. And really, before we dive in, Jen, could you tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about what you do over at Booth?
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks. It's so good to be here. And quick note, we've got some similar backgrounds, our bookshelves. I'm just noticing
I know.
we're
I love my
we're
bookshelf.
we're vibing. We're vibing. Yeah, so I'm the chief growth officer at Booth. For my chief growth officer, I oversee marketing, sales, and client services, responsible for our growing our revenue engine and retaining revenue. So we are a managed outsourcing and talent solutions company, and we help businesses build and scale global teams without the complexity of needing to do it themselves. And I'm super excited to talk to you today about the way we think about people and AI and all of the things that business owners and operators are thinking about right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I was just talking to someone the other day about how AI is just all of a sudden going to be baked into everything we do. And I feel like this is a really good example of that and putting it into a process. I know we hear a lot about agentic AI. Could you explain, kind of in plain terms, what agentic AI is?
Yeah. So I think about that. I think about agentic AI like it's the difference between like a chatbot and an agent. It's the difference between like
Hmm.
answering a question and then completing a task.
Yeah.
So you ask AI, how do I schedule a meeting versus it just handles it on your calendar. And you're saying like, hey, find a time, send the invite, follow up if they don't respond. Like that second one is the agent. And I think it's like the biggest kind of unlock is that like can AI pursue a goal across multiple steps, make decisions along the way, and not just respond to a prompt at the time? If that's the case, then we're talking about agentic work.
Yeah.
And I think that's where at Booth, like we're pairing AI agents with our human teams. So trying to get those together so that our clients get more done faster without just adding headcount.
Yeah, totally. I feel like that is a key to really good AI is that you blend it with the human experience as well. I know a lot of people might get scared that AI is replacing them in their jobs. Um, let's talk a little bit about that and how they kind of work together.
Yeah, I think so. First of all, I think that fear is totally rational,
Yeah.
right? Like it makes sense. Like change is a little bit scary, exciting, but can be scary and kind of throw you off. And I think the fear is just it's aimed at the wrong level because replacement, when you think about using AI to replacement is happening at the task level or needs to happen, in my opinion, at the task level, not at the person level. So the philosophy, like what we're building with our Booth agent is an AI product line that is designed to increase delivery leverage without replacing our people. So the goal is the same talent doing higher value work. And so it's like the shift that I would encourage, owners and operators to think about is not like, will AI take my job, but start asking, what in my job, what do I do that I should be handing off to
Yeah.
AI? No different than you would if you were an executive and you never had an executive assistant and you think, I can do this all myself, and you totally can. But then you hire an executive assistant and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't even imagine a world before I had a great EA," right? It's a similar kind of a mindset.
Yeah, I think about like someone even said to me, "Aren't you worried that AI is going to take your job as a marketer?" And I'm like, "No. I think it's going to make my job easier. I think I can do more with a lot less, but I don't think marketing is just going to be replaced is going to replace me. I don't."
No.
Do you think that companies are thinking that though and that they might be thinking narrowly about headcount and oh, we can reduce headcount if we're just using AI the right way?
Totally,
Yeah.
100%. Headcount's a total proxy metric, and the real question they should be asking, or I wish they were asking, is around capacity. And
Hmm.
headcount and capacity are not the same thing. And I learned this. I think anyone who's worked in in professional services knows this really well, because most likely you're tracking hours, you're tracking billable hours, you're thinking about how much time is a human spending on any one particular client, how much revenue are we getting from that client, like what kind of margins do we get, right? You're thinking about that. In other industries and other verticals, it's not necessarily those that that analysis, that thought exercise isn't as acute, because you've never really had to do that before, because you've got margin on, these other offerings. So I think that the companies who are asking, like, how many people do we need to hire to do some kind of initiative, or make something happen. I think those companies are an entire generation now behind companies that are asking, what are the outcomes that we need, and how do we build the right team to deliver those outcomes? And I think about, like, our own growth plan that we have as a proof point. Like, we're targeting ambitious growth targets right this year, but we're using a leaner AI assisted engine rather than just throwing headcount at it. Um, because that's a new unlock that we have. It's a new possibility for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's, to an extent, you're always going to need a human to have their hand in that and
Mhm.
be managing the AI. I do want to talk a little bit about AI and the human collaboration. What does it look like to have an agentic team in practice?
Yeah, I think so first of all, the human owns the relationship, the human owns the judgment and the accountability.
Hmm.
So you think about, like, your typical kind of like racy model of who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, um, AI is handling the execution loop. That's it. So, like, example that we have, like, in our world, we take a recruiter, we pair a recruiter with an AI agent. The AI agent handles screening, scheduling, first past assessment, then the human steps in for final evaluation, and then offer conversation. And so it's, I think, the real design challenge that businesses have and leaders have as they're building this out is less about the technology and more like defining the handoff points very, very clearly. And it's also and I think it's you can't just, like, take whatever another company's process is and go, "Oh, let's plug and play this for us,"
Yeah.
because every single business is different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Are there places where it feels like humans actually outperform the AI? I know we said like a lot of those task things are the things we want AI to focus on. Is there anything else that the humans should be taking over?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got AI winning on volume, consistency, structured data, first pass triage, basically anything that follows a pattern. AI is
Mm,
great.
yeah.
Humans are going to win on nuanced judgment, on relationship trust, on cultural sensitivity, on escalation and accountability. And so, like, we're thinking about AI native service areas that we're targeting right now, are like chat support and finance back office, like anything high volume, super structured, pattern rich. Keep humans on relationship and escalation. You can't have, at least right now, you
Yeah.
can't have a relationship with AI that's as effective as human. Who knows what the future will hold,
Yeah.
but
It's so
I'm
funny to
gonna
be talking about it like the AI and the human, like the robots, and they're doing all the things for us. But I mean, it is helping us be more human in a way.
it's totally helping us be more human. It really is. Because if you're able to take kind of the work that doesn't require um your humanness, your that quality, that sentiment, doesn't require it, and you pass that on to this machine um that is well trained. And that's really important. They're well trained, kind of
Yeah.
good processes are there too. It's like, what does that free you to be able to do? Um, it's pretty amazing. Like you said, like, as a marketer, like, your job's getting easier. I think it's like you're AI is giving you time and expertise to be able to like double click deeper into areas that you might have gone like, oh, if I had more time, I would love to
Yes.
do more market research here or what have you. Now you can do it with the click of a button and have answers in minutes. Like that's amazing if you use it, if you approach it that way.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know so many companies, they're trying to layer on AI to existing teams as well. What are companies getting wrong when they're, trying to mesh the 2?
Lots. Um, I guess it's trial and error, right? So I think some of the things that we're seeing, like automating the wrong things first. So optimizing tasks instead of redesigning workflows. So it's like it's you don't just say, okay, well, we used to do it this way with a human, so now let's do it this same way with an agent. It's like, wait a minute,
Mm,
you have to rethink a human and an agent. They're different things. And so there's different capabilities. And so how do we want to rebuild how something gets done and rethink how it gets done? Like that's probably like top number one. And I get why it's so hard because it's hard. Like that's tough. That requires like a lot of mental and operational and philosophical kind of thought and capacity, right? So I get it. But that's number one. I think the other thing I'm seeing companies do wrong is not training humans on how to collaborate with AI, only just using the tool, right? Or like maybe it's like how to use the tool, but now like, okay, like, what's the strategy behind the way that we use AI?
mm,
And then I see companies measuring adoption, like did people use it and looking like, oh, well, we'll look at like logs or we'll look at activity.
mm,
Um, and we were doing that even ourselves. We were like, here's the leaderboard of like who's using the most Claude and stuff,
mm.
instead of looking at outcomes. Like, did the work get better? Not just faster, right? Did the work actually get better? So I think it's like the classic mistake is just if you bolt AI onto a broken process, you're just going to get a faster broken process, which like in the world of marketing and like marketing automation and like CRM, like we've lived that,
Yeah.
of like add automation and you can screw up a lot bigger and faster without the
Yeah,
automation, right?
totally. It kinda sounds like we've hit a point where jobs almost need to be redesigned around that collaboration with AI.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Are there certain skills that become more valuable when AI is handling more of those tasks and the execution on it?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, we're definitely like at the beginning of that shift.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a smarter frame for this is not like, do we redesign jobs, but see like, okay, what decisions need a human and what tasks can be delegated to AI? And
Yeah.
so start mapping that first, and then the job design will come more naturally. So in terms of like the skills that are more valuable in a world where AI is handling execution, we've talked a little bit about like judgment and critical thinking. So like
Yeah.
AI can execute, but humans still need to define what good actually looks like. Um, Communication and relationship management, because trust is still like at a people trust people, right? Um, and then I think the other really valuable skill is systems thinking and process design,
Yeah.
which is pretty huge. And I think it's a big gap that a lot of leaders have. But if you can design the workflow, then you can use AI to actually run it.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's there's a lot that needs to get in. It's like I'm seeing it on our own team how we're investing in training people to be AI literate collaborators, not just tool users. We started off like thinking, okay, usage, and we're like, whoa, let's pull back. And let's create like a smaller group of like AI literate true collaborator champions, and build the culture that way.
Yeah, and I think we see this all the time in multifamily, especially when it comes to hiring leasing agents. I remember
Mhm.
when I worked on the operator side, a lot of times we would hire these leasing agents, and really it was more like hiring order takers
Mhm.
instead of someone who's trying to actually sell the apartment or sell the community. And so I think that makes it so much more important because at this point, the AI is becoming the order taker and they're going through those
Yeah.
motions of the simple routine things. So we do need people who can be more mentally present, who can sell better, who can have those conversations and smooth over those issues a lot
Mhm.
better and more personably.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think there's an opportunity, especially in this industry, right? Where for consistency and longevity of team too,
Yeah.
right? So
Mhm.
it's like when you go because we have clients who, in in the housing and in the space, and it's like it's it's great to see where it's like, okay, what do you have AI do? What do you have like an outsourced team member do that is like living like maybe out of country, who's really, really happy to have that job and to be able to be in that job for the next 5 to 10 years versus like constantly kind of looking for the next thing. It's been a really nice marriage for our property management clients.
Yeah, I even think about like when I used to work on the operator side, I was managing over 65 communities. Everything I did had to be times 65. But now, if, I think if it were today, you wouldn't have to do so much up front. Like I had to do so much back end work for all 65
Hmm.
properties. And now you can automate a lot of that. So I think the way that AI is coming into the story is just fantastic, because I
Yeah.
probably would have stayed had I not had to do everything 65 times
Right.
all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think that AI adoption is kind of creating this fear or resistance internally? And like you were saying, there are certain people who may not be so apt to adopt it.
Yeah, I mean, I see it, in different organizations. I think the way to prevent some of that fear or that resistance is first, to be really transparent about your roadmap. So, like, any uncertainty that people have is more frightening than the actual change
Yeah.
itself,
Yeah.
you know? So I think I'd be really honest about where things are going. I think I would also show them what it means for their career, not just for the business's efficiency. So the old, like, what's in it for me as the employee is still extremely relevant. And I think business owners and leaders should be cautious about over indexing on like, well, people should just be happy to have a job and they're going to be even more happy to have a job. And so they're just going to do. It's like, no, no, no. Like they need people, human beings need to know like, why are they there? And like, what are they there for? And how they're going to grow. Um, and then the other thing I would say is like I mentioned what we're doing, like pilot with willing early adopters, and then let those people become internal champions versus like mandating it from the top. Although it is interesting, I have been in conversations where the mandate from some executives has been do not use any AI,
Mm,
which is like actually more frightening to me
yeah.
than the ones who were saying just everyone go ahead and use it.
Yeah.
Um, so it there needs to be strategy from the executive level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're not trying to work it in some way, I think you're gonna find fall behind pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, what we're doing, like, what we're doing is we're building our booth agent, like, with the team, not handing it down to them.
Mm,
So, you've got to be able to kind of collaborate with them. So, it's like, if there was ever a time to be, like, have transparent leadership, bring people in, um, go into, like, startup mode regardless of your size, like, this is the time.
yeah, absolutely. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk
Sure.
about business process outsourcing and global talent. I know outsourcing has kind of existed forever, but
Mhm.
feels like the conversation is changing a little bit. What is different now?
Yeah, it's exciting what's different. So I think the old model was all about like cost arbitrage, like offshore call centers, headcount shedding, and that era had some real quality problems. They ever, like you think about as a consumer when you're like, oh my gosh, who am I on the phone with? Like someone
Right,
from what country, right?
right.
Like those are quality problems. They're well earned problems, right? New model for outsourcing, business process outsourcing is outcome based,
Hmm.
it's quality focused, it's technology enabled, and it's strategically integrated.
Yeah.
Companies today aren't outsourcing just to cut costs. They are saving some money. That's for sure. There's still labor arbitrage, but they're outsourcing to scale capability that they couldn't build internally, or at least that's the type of like client that we're working with. Um, and what makes this part of time, right? And like this industry so exciting to me.
Yeah. How has AI changed the way that we think about that outsourcing and global
Yeah.
teams?
It just raised the floor on, like, what's expected. It's
Yeah.
completely raised the bar, right? So, our clients want AI augmented delivery, not just labor, and it's also creating AI is creating demand for more sophisticated global talent, not less. Um, it's interesting to see, like, people are looking now for folks who have AI skills to lead those
Mm,
AI teams, so, like have agents reporting up to them. And so the type of type of talent, the human talent, the work is getting harder, not simpler. Um, and so then that's changing. That's making the job description a bit more rich and advanced, and it means that it might be harder to find somebody in your local region
mm.
who can fill that role. And so now you can open up to the whole world. Like we can hire within 120 different countries worldwide, where we can find the talent that you specifically need.
Yeah, and I feel like in our industry, that probably comes in handy, especially when it comes to the vendor side and being able to support those properties. I feel like that is a great thing to kind of look into and consider when you're building out your
Hmm.
platforms. I know there's often this misconception that outsourcing can mean lower quality. How do
Yeah.
you challenge that?
Yeah, totally. Like we just said, like totally true in this old model. And I can't just don't want to dismiss why the reputation exists. I know for Booth specifically, because my background before I came to Booth, I ran a 300-person marketing agency. Before that, I was in SaaS. So I don't have this long history in like BPOs and outsource firms. But what I love about our model is we have cultural alignment at the hiring stage. We have dedicated teams. We have performance coaching. We've got really transparent engagement. So like our clients' customers can't tell like who's Booth versus who's like in-house. And that's exactly the goal. So we make quality be a function of process and people, not geography. And that's when that's because we're thinking about outcomes-based work, not just buying or renting headcount from us.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I want to think about kind of like the big picture and those industry trends. What do you think the workforce is going to look like 5 years from now if agentic AI adoption just keeps on going up and accelerating?
I think every knowledge worker will be managing AI in some form. It just like it becomes like a baseline expectation, like not a differentiator. And I think global distributed teams just become far more strategic, not less, because AI is going to remove any coordinated friction. But human judgment and culture are still like deep requirements, like still need a ton of investment. So I think companies who build really quality global teams now are going to have compounding advantages like in 5 years for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that every company eventually is going to become this hybrid workforce of half AI, half human, or, not necessarily half, but like part of each?
Yes, 100% and sooner than most leaders think. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's like the question is whether you architect that hybrid intentionally or you get forced into it reactively under pressure. And
Yeah.
so that reactive adoption is going to be much, much, much messier, but the competitive landscape is going to force people into that. So if you architect the hybrid intentionally, you're going to be ahead of the game. And so and I know it's not easy. We're doing it. We're literally living it ourselves. But it's now's the time to take the time to do it right.
I love that term that you just said, reactive adoption, because I do feel like in our industry, especially when I was on the operator side, we saw that a lot. Oh my gosh, like we need to adopt this new product because our occupancy is dropping below such and such percent. And it wasn't just me, like I talked to other operators out there who
Mhm.
see that all the time. And I think we do need to avoid that. We need to get a lot more strategic about how we implement these systems so that it doesn't come to the time of panic and we're just trying to add AI into our systems and bolt it on.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any predictions kind of about the future of work that might sound crazy now, but could be in a few years?
Yeah. So I think team capacity. We talked a little about capacity. I think team capacity is going to be quoted in the same way that we talk about headcount today. So like companies won't say we have 50 people. They're going to say we have capacity of 200 because they've
Mm,
got a human AI multiplier. Or yeah, so I think it's like
that's a cool
we're
way
to
to think
think
about
about
it. Yeah.
things really differently. And I also think, well, you said one prediction. Well,
If you
I guess
have another one, please share it.
I think AI supervisor is going to be like one of the most in demand job titles in
Ooh.
3 years. So like
Yeah.
like humans who their primary work is like managing, correcting, and directing AI teams, like
What
AI
do you
agents. I'm
think
sorry.
that
Yeah.
that kind of role would look like as an AI supervisor? Like someone who trains the AI with their information, like the company information?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and also, like, puts kind of guardrails in and tests
Mm,
judgment and
yeah.
redirects and, like, is sort of a coach, in the way because the AI doesn't know, um what new ideas you have, and in your business like you're constantly getting inspired and having new ideas. AI doesn't know, your agents won't know about those ideas unless you tell them what they are, right? Like the AI can look at market trends, it can look at your data, it can look at historicals. Sure, it can make predictions, but
Mhm.
it can't cast a vision.
Yeah, absolutely. What advice would you give to leaders who know that they need to evolve and change in their business, but they're not sure where to start?
I would say start with your most painful repetitive operational workflow and just and ask, like, what would it take to take 30% of the human hours out of this?
Hmm.
And, like, just, like, start there with that kind of a goal. Don't start with a buy a tool. Don't, so don't go right to, like, end, like, start with process clarity, right? Because
Mhm.
then I think the tool become more obvious to you once you fully understand the problem. And then I would find one AI fluent person on your team and just give them the mandate and give them runway to experiment.
Yeah.
And just like give him like a 30-day pilot, right? Like it doesn't have to be perfect. Just like a 30-day pilot will teach you so much more than like 6 months of like planning some strategy out. And then you execute, you're like, oh wait, that didn't land the way we thought it was going to land, right? So, like, just get in there and start taking action.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do when I was on the operator side was A/B test with similar property types. Give it 30 to 90 days depending on what the product is and kind of comparing side to side. Someone with similar traffic, similar
Yep.
types of residents, things like that, and then you can more clearly see what are those results that I'm looking for and how's each one
Yeah.
performing. Yeah, so if someone listening wants to start experimenting with AI augmented teams tomorrow, what's the first thing they should look at when it comes to that?
I think look at your team's time. So specifically, where are hours being spent on tasks and like where do they follow a consistent, repeatable pattern? So again, pro services is going to be like most, attuned to be able to do this, something they're probably already thinking about. If you're not kind of tracking hours, it'd just be a good exercise to go through that. I think everyone should do that. I've done that for myself, even as an executive, to
Yeah,
track my time and
I've
see
done
where
that
time is
too.
going,
Yeah.
right? Like so beneficial when you like then see it like on paper, right? Or like in text. And so look for those structured inputs, look for any predictable outputs, look for volume. So there you go. There's your first kind of AI ready candidate. And then I think also ask like who on your team would be most unleashed if they were freed from that task. It's like where do you have so much human potential that's getting bogged down in repetitive, like volume heavy, repeatable work?
Yeah, absolutely. What's something that companies should stop doing as AI changes how we work?
Yeah, I think stop hiring reactively. So don't like add headcount just because work feels overwhelming without first asking like whether the work itself could be redesigned. Um and I just that reflex to just hire someone is just going to delay that harder and more valuable question for sure.
Yeah, I fully agree. That makes sense. So kind of a final thought as we wrap up, what does good growth look like in this AI era?
Um, Good growth that scales capability,
Mm,
without scaling cost linearly, right? So linearly. So like you've got like how do you grow as a business and grow your potential without like the costs going in the same direction. I think that's what good growth looks like in for AI. I think it's also growth where your people are doing their highest value work and they're not drowning in execution. It's growth that's sustainable. So it's teams aren't getting burnt out, quality isn't really hollowed out. I think it's our tagline at Booth is growth without compromise. And in the AI era, it's like that's not a nice to have. It's like it's really the only kind of growth worth building, in my opinion.
yeah, absolutely. Before we close out as well, I have a bonus question that I ask every single one of my
Sure.
guests. It doesn't have to be related to this topic, but is there a tech tool that you are loving in your life right now and just using all the time?
I mean, honestly, Claude,
Yeah,
like I just use it daily in co-work mode.
yeah,
Not just to experiment, to like to actually run work.
yeah,
And it's been exciting,
yeah.
and interesting to think about, like, the things that would bog me down, in the past and the unlock I've been able to experience with having AI, as I've embedded Claude into and I've rebuilt the way that I work. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like I've said this on another episode, but Claude is really having a moment right now. Like I
Mhm,
just used to always revert to Chat GPT, but now all of a sudden I'm kind of moving towards Claude just because I've seen the work that it's doing. And
mhm.
I don't know, it's just been more effective for me lately.
Yeah, I think it's like I think there are I think there's multiple kind of like solutions, LLMs, like all these different
Yeah.
options. And it's finding something that works really well for you and plays nicely with your tool set and your teams and your strategy. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. Can you share where people can find you and connect with you and learn more about what you're doing at Booth?
Yeah, so I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. You can find me, Jen Spencer at Booth, or you can email me, jen.spencer@hirebooth.com if there's anyone has a direct question. But yeah, love to connect with folks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.